Hi, this is Patrick with MT Knives. To follow up, I want to talk to you about cutting boards. If you're going to own high quality knives, especially kitchen knives, I'm hoping to do some of them soon. But what goes hand in hand with a high quality knife is a good cutting board. There's quite a bit to know about cutting boards actually, and I'm going to just give you a rundown of what I feel is the best for a cutting board and some maintenance. So here we have, it's a black walnut and maple cutting board. It's an end grain. So this here is the start of it. I glued up these boards. So the grain of the wood flows this way. And this would not be an end grain cutting board. This would be, I don't know what you call it. But the problem with a cutting board of this style is when you cut across the grain, you're cutting your wood, and you're leaving scars on your cutting board, and that can lead to different problems, and even parts of the cutting board in your food and such. So what I'll do with this, and I'm going to glue it up again, and I'll cut this direction, and I'll rotate the grain so it's facing up, just like I did on this one here. So the grain of the cutting board is kind of like a paintbrush. You got all these fibers sticking out this way, and when you cut with your knife on an end grain cutting board, your knife will go in between the grains. This will prevent damage to your edge. It'll help you keep a sharp edge longer, and it also, them grains kind of seal back up so that it doesn't leave scarring as bad on the face of the cutting board. So an end grain cutting board is the best cutting board you can buy, and black walnut and maple are some of the best woods for that. So that's why I've gone with black walnut and maple. I might do some solid maple and maybe some solid black walnut, but for now, this is just what I've done. So now let's talk about care and maintenance. You want to oil your cutting board. You don't want to use. I'm still doing some research. I think I'm going to go with mineral oil, like a food grade, which can be a laxative, but it's not going to affect you on a cutting board. And that's going to protect your cutting board and keep it in good shape. If you leave this cutting board laying flat on a countertop and it gets moisture underneath of it, it can actually crack the cutting board because your wood's going to swell with moisture, and if it expands in the middle and not as much on the outside, it will actually crack your board. So anyways, that's one thing you want to do. When you wash it off, you want to maybe leave it standing up, let it dry it with a towel, let it air dry. But about once a month you want to re-oil your board. And now as you're cutting on the board, you're going to cut some stuff that's going to stain it. It's going to leave particles of food down in it. And the best way to clean it is use like a kosher salt or a sea salt. And you want to just put some salt on there and use a half a lemon. You could cut a lemon in half, make some lemonade or whatever, and then use that. What's left to scrub it. The salt, the abrasive will clean it right up. And that's the best way to clean your cutting board. And when you're done cleaning it, you want to rinse it with some cold water and dry it and let it dry. Preferably stand it on end, let it air dry. So anyways, them were some tips on selecting a cutting board and care and maintenance. Thank you for watching. This is Patrick with MT Knives, mtknives.net.